Welcome to our discussion of using the FRED database. FRED is an economic database that will give you free easy access to economic data so that you may observe data patterns, trends, and relationships. FRED is an acronym meaning Federal Reserve Economic Database and is maintained by the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. This system allows you to quickly access economic data from U.S. and international sources with over 820,000 time series to choose from. FRED also has the capability of plotting those data in presentations. It also allows you to directly download those graphics as GIF files, or you may download the data for use in Excel. The system will allow you to show multiple data on the same graphic, as well. Frankly, the best way to learn this system is to use it, access and plot various data on your own. But we will review some basics here. The starting point is to go to the website fred.stlouisfed.org. There you will see a quick search bar for economic data. You simply put in what you are looking for and a list of series will be offered. Let's assume that we want to plot and download the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, for short. So we type CPI into the search bar. Then you will get a list of possible data from which you can choose the exact metric you are looking for. Also note on this page that with a lot of data there is a listing of other formats. At times this may be helpful if you are looking for a different frequency or variant of the data. Once you find the data you want, click on it. FRED will plot the data series you have selected, as shown here for the CPI. Note the gray bars on the graphic, which represent periods of recession as determined by the National Bureau of Economic Research. The upper right-hand corner above the graphic also has options for downloading. Clicking that blue download box will give you the option to download the data in Excel, in a CSV file, an image, into PowerPoint as a graph, or as a PDF file. Keep in mind that if you download the data, for example, what you get is the format of the data that is graphed. So, if you prefer the CPI to be downloaded as a growth rate, instead of the index, then you will need to first edit the presentation so that it shows a growth rate. Of course, if you are downloading the index into Excel, you can do the calculation in Excel of the growth rate, as well. But let's explore the Edit Graph options. If you click the Edit Graph button for the CPI, you will have options to change the units presented, and there is a drop-down menu to pick common alternative presentations of the data. You can also select an alternative frequency. In this example, the reported monthly frequency is the default, but you can change that to quarterly or annually with that drop-down menu for frequency. So, let's assume that we want to look at the growth rate in the CPI, which is the rate of consumer inflation. To do this, we select from the drop-down units menu and choose among these options. By the way, if you had a formula that is not shown, you could enter that formula in the window below. Once you select the units, it will automatically change the presentation. If you wish to download the data after changing it to a growth rate, then you will get a growth rate as your download. You also may change the frequency of the data, if you so choose. FRED also allows you to compare more than one time series. To do that, you go to the Add Line tab, and enter the description or mnemonic if you should know it for the series. If we want to compare inflation with the unemployment rate, we can type that into the box and a list of available measures will pop up. Then click on the series you want to add. Next, select the button Add Data Series. By default, the unemployment rate series just added will have the same units calculation as the first series. In this case, the CPI is presented as a year-over-year percentage change of the monthly data. However, this is not correct for the second series since, as you see, it takes a percentage change of the unemployment rate. Therefore, to fix that, simply select the correct units, which will be percent since it is a rate. Thus, this presentation shows consumer inflation versus the unemployment rate. But what if we wanted to do some special calculation of the data instead of one of the standard calculations in the drop-down menu? Well, let's consider looking at the employment rate instead of the unemployment rate versus the inflation rate. Given the unemployment rate, then the employment rate is the difference between 100% and the unemployment rate. Then to graph this version of the relationship, you must enter the calculation in the formula box in the menu for the second series, which is the unemployment rate. However, each line or series in FRED is given an alphabetical designation. In this tab, the letter for the unemployment rate is A. So, instead of using the mnemonic in the formula box, you use the letter designation of the series. Therefore, within the formula box, you would type 100 minus the letter A. This is the relationship between the consumer inflation rate and the employment rate. However, visually this is not very informative because of the difference between the units for each series, which are plotted using the same y-axis. However, you can plot one series against the left y-axis and one series against the right y-axis. Let's explore how that is done now. To select which axis is used to plot which series, go to the Format tab and select the options. Here line 2, which is the employment rate, is plotted on the right axis. This is done by clicking the left or right axis. Automatically, the chart is updated. Keep in mind that you have control over the interval that is shown using the sliding bar at the bottom of the graphic. This video shows the same steps but continuously and lasts for about 2.5 minutes. If you need more help, FRED has a help page. Please visit that page. Finally, there is a homework assignment to be done using FRED. You are asked to plot 4 economic measures and describe the patterns, trends, and relationships, if any, that you see. The full assignment is posted on Canvas.